Okay, in this video I'm going to be talking about the track Time by Richard Hell and The Voidoids. It's an incredible song, contains some incredible guitar playing from Robert Quine. And those of you who are familiar with this channel will know that I'm a big Quine fan. He's one of my all-time favourites. And he started off playing with Richard Hell in the late 70s, early 80s, went on to play with Lou Reed, and also did some great stuff with Matthew Sweet in the, I think, the late 80s or early 90s. So well worth checking out some of that stuff if you're not familiar with him. I'm going to begin by playing through a bit of this song for you, then I'll tell you a bit more about it and I'll break down some of those great Quine riffs and licks. So this track is from 1982 and it appears on this record Destiny Street, which is the second Richard Hell and the Voidoids album. But there are actually quite a confusing number of different versions of this tune. There's the original album recording, then there's a single version which is 3 minutes long, seems to be a completely different recording. There's an extended version of that recording which has got an extra guitar solo and goes on for about 5 minutes. Then there are various remasters, remixes, and there's even something called Destiny Street Repaired, which Richard Hell put out 2 or 3 years ago, where he was dissatisfied with the original recordings and the original mixes, so he ended up replacing the original guitar tracks with newly played tracks by people like Bill Frisell and Mark Rebo, and also the original Voidoids guitar player Ivan Julian. And if you're a Richard Hell nerd like me, then it's fascinating to compare and contrast all of those different versions. But for the purposes of this video, I'm actually focusing on the single version, which is probably my favourite recording, but I've pulled a few licks and ideas from some of those other recordings as well. But if you want to just have a quick listen to this track, I suggest you start with that single recording, which you can find on all the streaming services. It's part of the compilation album, The Richard Hell Story, so you might want to check that one out. And it's quite a detailed track. There's lots of production, lots of different layers of guitar. There's 2, maybe 3 guitar solo, so I'm not going to promise to get into every last detail here, but I'm going to go through some of my favourite parts. And though I'm going to be focusing on the Robert Quine parts, credit should definitely be given to the other guitar player on the Destiny Street album and on this track, the mononymously named No, N-A-U-X. At least I thought it was supposed to be pronounced No, but doing a little bit of research on the internet tells me that you're actually supposed to pronounce it Naij. And his actual name is Juan Maciel. Again, I might not be pronouncing that correctly, but Juan, you reverse that, it becomes Naij. So do with that fun fact what you will. Maybe you can use it to impress your punk rock friends later on today. Anyway, let me get started properly. I'm going to go through the basic chords to begin with, then I'm going to look at some of the rhythm guitar ideas, and then I'm going to focus on the first Robert Quine solo and break that down in some depth. We're in the key of G, and I'm just going to begin by running through the basic chords. And then if you're a beginner, or if you just want to play through the song in a simple way, you'll be able to do that. Like with most great songs, this one works really well, just simple strummed chords with some singing on top of it. And though we're in the key of G, the verse actually starts on the 4 chord, which is a C. So we've got 2 beats C, 2 beats G, 4 beats E minor, Then we got 2 beats C, 2 beats G, 2 beats E minor, and 2 beats of G. And then the second half of the verse, or maybe it's kind of a pre-chorus, we've got C, 4 beats to A, 4 beats, and then E minor, and then to B. So you can play the B as a bar chord with the 5th string root. You could play a B7 there, that would work too. So that's the verse. Time and time again I knew what I was doing. And time again I just made things worse. It seems you see the most of what is really true when you're stepping into your hurts. Then we're into the chorus. The chorus does start on a G. We've got 4 beats of G, 2 beats of A, 2 beats of C. That goes round again. And a third time. And on the third time we've got a quick C to D, just 1 strum on each chord. And then we hold on C, and then back to G. So that's the chorus. Only time can write a song that's really, really real. The most a man can do is say the way it's playing feels. I know he only knows as much as time to him reveals. And that's about it as far as the basic chords go, and it's actually really nice just to sit and strum and sing through the song exactly like that. Now, as far as the actual rhythm guitar parts that you're hearing on the record goes, what I'm doing is just grabbing what I can, some of my favourite bits. It's actually quite hard to hear exactly what's going on, and in my little playthrough at the start of this video, what I did was record the left-hand rhythm guitar in advance, and then whilst I was filming I did the right-hand rhythm part, and then I overdubbed the guitar solo. And most of the rhythm guitar parts are based on those basic open cowboy chords, but we're arpeggiating those chord shapes, we're embellishing, adding in some fills, adding in some extra notes, and coming up with some really interesting and creative parts, I think. So for the introduction, what's happening in the left-hand speaker is this. We've got... So you can see that I'm basing this around those basic open chord shapes. So the song actually starts with the chorus chord, so it starts with a G, and I'm just arpeggiating that chord. So 4 beats on that. You don't need to stick to a rigid picking pattern here, it's quite loosely done, I think, so I'm just playing the bass notes and then the higher 3 strings. And then we go into an A chord, and you can either play an A chord or an A7 chord, and then I'm hearing this little sliding double stop idea, so sliding up to 4 on the D and 3 on the B, and then we go into the C chord, and we're strumming the C, but then we're lifting up the first finger, so it's C to C major 7, and then going back to G, so that creates a little kind of chorus riff, I suppose. Go around again. And then we've got the C to D, just 1 strum on each, and then C to G. So that's what's going on in the left-hand speaker. I'm not actually sure which guitarist is playing which parts in these rhythm guitar parts. Then over in the other speaker I played this part based on fourths as an introduction. So just sliding fourths on the G and D strings, starting at the 12th fret, sliding up 2 frets and back again, then at the 9th fret, sliding up to 12 and back, and then this kind of triplet, 5, 4, 2, it goes round again, and again, and then the quick C to D, and then so 5, 7, 5, and then descending to the open strings. Then we've got the verse parts, and over in the left hand speaker I'm playing something like this. So starting off just arpeggiating the basic chords, so C, G, E minor, and I was adding in that D note as well to create an E minor 7. C, G, E minor, G, and then in the next bit there's this really nice part played using double stops on the top pair of strings. So we've got minor third shape here, so E and G, just sliding down and then back up again, and then up and down, and then we're hitting an A chord, and I'm just adding in the D to make it an A sus4, and then back to the thirds, and then just before the chorus over that B chord I'm just playing 4, 4 and open on the top 3 strings. So it's that B sound, but you've got the E, so you're adding in, it's kind of an add 4, add 11. So that works really nicely as a kind of pre-chorus part. Then over in the other speaker I'm playing this. So starting off in the same kind of way, arpeggiating the C, G, then E minor. It's got a little single note fill, just all played on the third string. And next I'm playing this. This is really hard to hear on the original recording, but something along these lines works, I think. So single note riff, so it's E, C, E, F sharp and G, and then down again, and then I'm just playing a low A down here at the 5th fret on the 6th string, open string in there as well, and then we're going to the E minor chord here, and then we're hitting the B chord, so you can play a B7, a B7 sus4 perhaps. Then we're into the chorus, and in the left hand speaker I'm playing exactly the same part as I played in the introduction, so this one. And then in the other speaker I'm playing this triad part, which is so very simple, but this part works really well, I think. So we've just got a G triad, so it's like a D chord shape, but up here at the 7th fret, up to an A, and then a C. And then at the end of the chorus we've got one strum on a C, and then a D, and then back to C. And you can just embellish that triad a little bit. And then down to a G. And you can just slide up and down on that chord if you want as well. Let's talk about the guitar solo or guitar solos then. And both of the solos in the single version of this tune are just so good, and it's hard to sort of put your finger on what makes these Quine solos so great, but for me it's a combination of, they're very memorable, there's lots of melody and beauty, but there's also some unpredictability and weirdness and angularity in there as well, and it's all played with, you know, real attack and passion. So the first solo that you hear, it starts off like this. We've got 1, 2, 3. So we're playing this over the verse chords to start with, and most of this solo you can see this is coming from the G major pentatonic or E minor pentatonic scales, and there's some diatonic stuff in there as well, so that the G major or E minor scale. But we're starting off just with this single note played at the 3rd fret on the low E string, 1, 2, 3, and then we're launching into this. So it's just a kind of little fluttery G major pentatonic kind of lick. And it's always played with a nice amount of abandon. It's not too precise. There's string noise and messiness in there as well. It's not something you can really try and emulate as you're playing it. It's more of an attitude that you have to have. So don't try and be too fussy or too precise. And then just some simple melodic stuff. So just coming down that major scale there. And then we've got this kind of 2, 4, 5 double hammer on. And climbing up the neck. The same idea played an octave higher. And then these little kind of fluttery licks here. So this is kind of E minor pentatonic. We've got 7 and 10 coming to 8 on the B, and then a nice kind of aggressive bend at the 10th fret on the B. And notice how interesting the rhythm is here. It's not just a boring 8th notes. He kind of starts off with longer notes and 8th notes, and then we've got these little kind of 16th note legato licks, and this kind of triplet idea as well. So kind of unpredictable and interesting rhythm. And then we go into this part. So really great kind of anthemic sort of melodic part this. So double stops at the 10th fret on the top 2 strings. That kind of Hendrixy style hammer on we've got there. Coming down to 12 on the G. And sliding the 4ths down from the 10th fret to the 8th fret. Repeat. And then at the end of the chorus, just sliding those 4ths all the way down. And then kind of a rockabilly style dip on the vibrato arm. And I wasn't going to talk about the second solo in this video, but I can't resist just breaking down a few of the licks that we've got here just because they're so good. And this one kicks off with a nice strong melodic idea. So a little melody on the B string, but we've got a droning open top string as well. And then kind of an answering phrase to that played a little bit higher up. But same kind of idea, the melody is on the B string, got that droning top string. Then more of these nice flurries of legato notes. And then more aggressive bending. And then this bend is great here, so I'm thinking E minor pentatonic, but then he's kind of going outside that scale. I'm hearing this as a bend at the 11th fret. So quite an unexpected, slightly jarring note choice there. Now this is another Quine trademark, these kind of flurries of descending ideas. So hammer and pull off 7, 8, 7, then slide down to 5, And then the same idea, continuing down the fretboard. Some more kind of angular bends. So bending at the 3rd fret on the G, just pushing that slightly sharp. And now we're playing over the chorus chords, and he keeps it simple at the end of the solo, just some long sustained notes. And final couple of licks here. Kind of E minor pentatonic, and then just a little double stop. This is something that you hear Quine do quite a lot as well. So 10 on the top string, 11 on the beat, and ending with a D to a G. That's how I'm hearing it. Anyway, so impossible to replicate these solos exactly, and that's not really the point here. I'm just kind of a fan of these solos. It's interesting for me to figure out more or less what's going on, and also just to soak up some of these ideas and some of the attitude you're getting from these solos as well, and something I've tried to bring into my own playing a little bit. Let me talk you through the gear that I'm using today. Robert Quine was, of course, a famous Strat user, so today I'm using my Strat. This is I think it's an American vintage Strat, kind of a 60s reissue Strat, which I don't play anywhere near enough. Whenever I do pick up a Strat, I always really enjoy it. It's just got such a lot of character, this guitar, and I'm playing this today through my Fender Princeton, and listening to the various recordings of this tune, it sounds to me like most of the guitar tones are just guitars going straight into Fender style amps, and a lot of these guitar tones are pretty clean as well. There's not loads of overdrive. There's a little bit of overdrive on some of Quine's stuff, so I'm actually using some overdrive pedals down here. I've got my Noble's ODR1 overdrive, which I was using on the left hand speaker rhythm guitar parts, and then for the Quine stuff I was using my J Rocket Archer overdrive pedal, but not too much. I think it sounds cooler with this kind of song if you just back off the overdrive a little bit, and it's got more of that kind of spikiness, and you can hear the voice and the character of the guitar a little bit more. And then the one other pedal that I was using was the MXR Dynacomp. I mean, the guitar sounds on this single version do sound quite chimey and compressed and jangly. It almost sounds like a Tom Petty track or something at times. It's got that kind of country or country rock sound, which is no bad thing as far as I'm concerned. And it just helps if you've got a compressor for those kind of jangly parts. I was just using that for the parts in the left-hand speaker. For the Quine stuff, I had that turned off. So for the rhythm guitar stuff, I was using the bridge pickup, and the Strat just going straight into the Princeton sounds like this. And with the Dynacomp and the Noble's overdrive, and then for the Quine stuff I was using the neck pickup and the Archer overdrive pedal, no compression. That's it for today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Tab will of course be up on the Patreon page along with my backing track. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.